occasionally send me these executive lunches that they were doing all over the country with pictures. And I keep telling Sattie, I think this guy thinks we're hungry. But he did make that call and tell us that he was bringing in the founder of the company, the co-founder of the company, to take us out to dinner. So when they came out, we spent about 6-7 hours at dinner. Then the next day we spent another 5-6 hours. And most of you guys know the story, what I did with them and put them through. But I wanted to make sure that we were doing the right thing. But I'll tell you one thing about Duy. Duy is an engineer by trade. And when people are engineers, what are they?
Technical.
They're very detail-oriented. And we are very, very fortunate to have a guy like this as our upline. Okay, very, very fortunate. I know you spent time in LA with him, Yuri, right? So you got a chance to be around him for a long time. When I first started the business, me and him were sleeping in hotel rooms together, going to bed at 3 in the morning. We're still in the room with Kelly talking about one day we're going to have a school like this, one day we're going to have this, one day we're going to have that. And people didn't have the patience to really see when you're doing a startup, all the patience that it takes. And not only the patience, the money and the investment and the courage that it takes to do that. I mean, here we're dreaming in the room, man, one day we can't wait to have a school like this. Well, Duy, here is our school, our first insurance academy. So I want you to share with the people how to really run a compliant office. And he had many, many offices. He was one of the top guys in World Financial Group. So I'll let him talk a little bit about that. But more importantly, listen to him very, very carefully, because you want to stay compliant in this business. You don't want to leave any window open or any doorknobs unturned, because the enemy, when you start going out there and replacing people's policies, and Chris is going to be talking about that, the enemy ain't going to like that. They ain't going to like that. So we want to make sure that we get out the gate doing the right thing. Give Duy Nguyen a big hand.
Good morning, still.
Good morning.
Well, in the West Coast, I mean, it's really morning right now. Well, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Duy Nguyen, and Rocky asked me to come up and talk about the compliance. One of the way that we really work on the make sure that when we call it, save ourselves when we go out there to talk to client. And every time that when you go out and you talk to the client, and then you offer, you go through the financial analysis, right? Then you tell the client that, hey, you need about $800,000 life insurance, and they can only afford, let's say, $400,000, right? Hey guys, the best way to protect yourself is to take out a blank sheet of paper, and then you ask the client just to write on their hand, write it. My agent advised me to buy $800,000, but I can only afford $400,000. And guys, you take that, you ask the client to sign it, they date it. That is the best protection that you ever have. You know why? There are times that people, they crazy. You go out, you try their best, right? And then they could not afford it, and then they turn around, they sue you. They say, oh, this guy didn't really do his job. And then it doesn't matter what you tell the regulator, most of the time you're wrong. You see what I mean? But if you have a piece of paper that your client writing with their hand writing, you are protected. Because they cannot lie on their handwriting. You see what I mean? So one of the way for you to protect yourself and also increase the sale completely is to ask the client to write that. And you tell them, hey, it's a policy company which need to have a statement from you that I go through the financial analysis, and you need that must be, you can only afford this much. You with me so far? Yeah. Now, if you practice that in every application that you write, you have that with the application, guys. You don't have to turn it in with the application. You know why? Because it's not required by insurance company. But you can keep it in your file, And that will be the best way, Rocky, to protect you and to make sure that you stay in compliance. And there will be time when the client have to write that. Guess what does it take for me to get the 800,000? You see what I mean?
Hey Zoe, that's actually going to be in the new dimer. When we print it out off the internet, it's going to be a place at the bottom of the sign saying either I bought what was recommended or I'm buying less than was recommended. That'll be on the printout itself when you print out the dimer.
Exactly. But you know, Dan, it's still, if it's on the company printed material, you don't have the same protection if the client actually write out. You know, because that is what we want the client to say. Now, so most of the time, guys, you know, when you go out there and you do an IUL to the client, one of the way you can help our client tremendously is this: there are many companies that allow you to actually put in the additional term rider on top of the IUL. Okay, for example, with Allianz, you know, for those of you who write outside of New York, with Allianz, they allow you to put 300% of your base and add it so that if you happen to run the illustration and with that the same amount, and the client only have 200,000, you see, you can add on another $600,000 on top of that to make it the policy become $800,000. Now remember, those term rider is not commissionable to you, but it will help. Number one, it helps your client tremendously. Number two, it makes it impossible for anybody who comes to review your policy and try to replace it. Okay? So the strategy is very simple, guys. Add on certain term rider. Remember, the term rider is not commissionable to you as an agent, but it will help the client tremendously, because with the same amount right now, they can get more insurance. You see what I mean?
Right.
And then what you normally do, the recommendation is, what you normally do is to do a 20 years term rider, right? And then you will tell your client, after 20 years now, you can actually convert the whole thing to the base, if you decide to do so. Now, 20 years from now, you know, they might not need that much insurance anymore, right? And then they can just let that term rider go. You with me so far? Or if they decided, hey, you know, my financial situation is so well right now, I want that insurance so I can pass that to, you know, the death benefit to my beneficiary income tax rate. You see what I mean? And they have that choice, and they will not have to go through an underwriting again to get that complete 800,000 rate. You with me so far? Now,
yep.
For companies like AIG, for Atlas, they don't have that term rider, but you can always add another like 20 years term life in the same application. I mean, I was running it for myself, guys, you know, for I think like a $400,000 term. When you write an IUL and then you add in another term policy, it's only cost me like, you know, $30 a month, you know, for the additional term. And with Atlas, that term that term life can also be convertible back to the IUL at the later time. Okay, so those are the recommendation, the trick that you can actually go out there, learn to protect yourself. But remember, the best thing that you can do for your career and for your client is to make sure that, you know, you put the additional term rider to it, so you can help the client tremendously, and you can really protect your policy from being replaced with another insurance agent. You with me so far?
Yeah. Yes.
Now I have a little bit more time here. I want to really talk about the magic behind the training sale. You know, and I want to very much to share with you a very quick story maybe you can relate to that. It will help you tremendously. You know, when I joined my practice company many years ago, one time my upline came to me and said, "Duy, you need to do your fire training sale." You know, and then, you know, I was new to the industry. I did not really know how to do on that. So he told me, "Duy, you already have your policy with us. This is the best time for you to go out there and to do the training sale." So I asked him how do I do it? So this is what he told me, "Duy, what you need to do is this. I'm going to reserve my Sattie today, guys, from 12 o'clock to 5 o'clock. I clear my schedule. That's my commitment to you, you know." And then he looked at me and said, "Now your commitment to me is to book appointment back to back for me for those 5 hours." And I didn't know how to do that, so I asked him, "I don't really know anybody." So he asked me, "Let me see your cell phone." So you got people on your cell phone. So don't tell me you don't know nobody, right? But this is what he recommended me to do. He told me, "Duy, just call, you know, your friend, your relative, and say, I have a friend who has some good information to share with you. Since we're in the area right now, we want to stop by." Is it simple?
Yeah.
So, you know, let me share with you. The first person who I called was my aunt. Okay, in that appointment, he wrote a policy, a variable universal life policy. The face value was, I think, about $500,000. You know, 19 years later, guy, just like about 3 months ago, my cousin called me because my aunt passed away. My cousin called and thanked me. He said, "Duy, you know what? Because you stopped by, now you know I got that." You know, he was asking me how to do the death claim too, right? But I'm telling you, hey, because of that field training, I just happened to make my cousin $500,000 richer. You know, he went back to Vietnam and spent all that money on his wife. Now, on the same day, I went to the other aunt because he gave me 5 hours. You know, it only took like, you know, an hour and a half for the first one, so I have a few more hours. So I called my other aunt, and we stopped by her house, and of course I haven't seen them for a while. And she just happened to get a divorce. Okay, so she was happened to share half of the 401k with her ex-husband. She didn't really know what to do with that. And so my upline recommended her to roll over that 401k to a variable annuity back then. You know, that was back in 1994, 1995, in those time frame. The funding of that 401k actually doubled several times between 1994 until 1999. You know. And my aunt called me, asked me, "Duy, what do you think about Y2K back then?" You know, and I was just telling her, you know, I don't know, but I'm moving all my money from the stock market to a fixed one, and I'm buying the house, right? And then she said, "Oh, you do that?" I said, "Yes." And then she did the same thing. She moved all the money for the variable annuity, you know, and then she bought a house. And guess what? Both of us was lucky, because when we bought the house, the value of the house started going up, you know, in the next 3, you know, and the stock market was going down. But you know, to make the story short, guys, because of that field training, my aunt was able to purchase a house and 3 more insurance policy, which, you know, right now she had a condition. If she want insurance policy, she couldn't get it at the typical price. See, the reason why I share with you that story is this. Guys, training sale is very important. You know why? Because it's got me going. It got me going tremendously, because I learned from that. You know what happened to me when I started recruiting and building when I got my license? I did the same exact thing to my organization. Every guy come in, we would, hey, I want to reserve my Saturday from this time to this time, and we went out, we write training sale like crazy. And that's how I was making so much money with the practice company because of the same idea. I got very fat back then, why? Because, and another fun thing, every time that we go out with a team member on a Saturday or a Sunday, guess what? After we make a sale, we go eat, or we can eat sushi. Hey, you remember, right? That's how Ray and I, we got so big because every Saturday and Sunday, we go out there, we write sale. Hey, if you happen to book appointment back to back, you get to make 1 or 2 sales. You with me so far? Yes. Guys, that's how we want to do it in New York. We want to be the first hierarchy in the company who want to practice that theory. See that, Rocky, guys? Book appointment back to back. So that number 1 is help, the trainee to focus on getting the appointment done. You see that? And when you book back to back, you have to make some sale. If you book individual one here, one there, sometimes you don't make a sale, and then the trainee, they get discouraged. And the trainer get discouraged too, right? But if you do back to back, guys, it will help you tremendously. Alright, guys? Yeah.